Hey, what's going on, AJ? Gonna wait till some more people go down. See, I don't know what's going on with the video though. We got audio, we have audio, but the video is acting real funny. Yeah, man, I'm live on YouTube as well at the moment. So I'm live on YouTube as well as Instagram. But for some reason the video feed on my YouTube is not working, but the audio is working. But the video feed is not working for some reason. We're about to discuss Negro bed wenches in the black community. Let me see. So yeah, video is not working right now. I might have to see what's going on with the video. So we're gonna get started in a few minutes into the topic. Yeah, man, I agree with that. You know, there's definitely some Negro bed wenches within the news anchor community amongst black women. I mean, if you notice, a lot of Negro bed wenches, period, you know, are in corporate America, unfortunately, because it's kind of like a gift and a curse, you know, like a sister being in corporate America, you know, she's making a nice little salary, has a nice career most times, but that's just unfortunate, brother. Let's see, we're going live. Wait till we get a few more people in the chat and the live. See, we got 2 people in the YouTube, even though the video's acting real funny right now. We're about to be talking about Negro bed wenches in the black community. Man, AJ, tell me in the chat, brother, what you think about the Negro bed wenches? What's your opinion on Negro bed wenches? And I see they got 2 people on YouTube that's watching right now. You guys can also chime in the chat. What's going on, Eric? Welcome to the live stream, my man. So the brother AJ says Negro Bed Wenches are spies for suspected white supremacists to give suspected white supremacists info about black people. Okay. So let's see. I'm trying to see how I can do this right now. I got YouTube Live going on. I also have Instagram Live, and I'm going to begin. Once I begin, I'll be recording on my podcast, which I have a podcast on Apple, iTunes, Google Play, and a bunch of other different platforms. You know? So let me get this podcast started, and then we could get into it. Yeah, I'm on SoundCloud as well. Yes, sir. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight. This is a very important topic at the end of the day, and we about to go ahead and get into it. Everybody, welcome to the Veal show. Today we are talking about Negro Bed Wenches. We are going to define the term. We are going to discuss it and determine and explain why is the term Negro Bed Wench an appropriate derogatory term for identifying black women who are allies, cheerleaders, and agents of white men and white supremacy, right? And so pretty much, I just defined the terms for you first off, right? Negro bed wenches, historically, back in antiquity during slavery times, they referred to a lot of black women in a lot of slave logs, as well as a lot of sales papers. They called black women wenches. Specifically, a bed wench was a woman that was used to warm the bed for master, as well as they were a mistress for the slave master at the time, right? And so once you actually get into a lot of the documentations and a lot of the slave narratives, you will see that there were a lot of women that voluntarily were Negro bed wenches, right? And so when I say voluntarily, obviously being under the system of slavery, there's coercion involved, right? But in the case of these women, these were women that were reluctant in accepting to be in that position because it was an easier life. I mean, you got to live in a house. You got nicer clothing than a lot of the other slave women. Even the slave women that actually lived in the house with these women, you know what I mean? They got the nicest clothes. They probably were the best treated slaves next to like the white women themselves, the white wives, right? And so historically, that's where the term comes from. Now, in this day and age, when we call a black woman a Negro bed wench, and I need my brothers to understand this, stop calling sisters, black women, Negro bed wenches just because they have a non-black or white spouse. Stop calling black women that have non-black spouses or white or non-black spouse a Negro bed wench, right? That's causing a lot of confusion and is alienating a lot of black women. Now, the reason I say that is because just because someone has a white or non-black spouse doesn't mean that they're a Negro bed wench. You understand? There are black women out there that do have certain levels of consciousness, that are pro-black, that are for the black community to a certain degree. And I will say that, in most cases, I'll probably say in, let's say, 7 to 9 out of 10 of the cases of a woman being married to a man, right? She will take on the ideology of the man that she marries, as opposed to the man taking on the woman's ideology. So 9 times out of 10, I would say in most cases, the woman's going to take on the man's ideology, whether it's religious, whether it's political, or what have you. That's what's going to happen 9 times out of 10. AJ says he's agreeing with me. I appreciate that. So stop, brothers and sisters. I know we have different levels of pro-blackness within the black community. We have some extremists, moderates, etc., etc. But I need y'all to stop referring to black women that have white or non-black spouses as Negro bed wenches just because of that fact. In order for a black woman, well, let me say this, right? Just because every black woman is not a Negro bed wench. So let's make that clear first and foremost. Every black woman is not a Negro bed wench. Negro bed wenches are a small percentage of black women. Like, I would probably say most Negro bed wenches are college educated. Most Negro bed wenches are college educated women that have been indoctrinated with a lot of black feminists and feminist ideology. A lot of them grew up in white neighborhoods that have been around white people most of their lives. So they've taken on that white supremacist ideologies. And most of them actually, in their mind, think that they're white. You know what I mean? So now that we know that every black woman is not a Negro bed wench, and that the majority of black women aren't Negro bed wenches, we can also say that all black women who have a non-black or white spouse isn't a Negro bed wench as well, right? There's countless sisters that put in work for the black community that do have Latino or white spouses. So let's stop saying that. The criteria for a woman to be a Negro bed wench, it has to be a black woman who is an ally, cheerleader, or agent of white supremacy. It is a black woman who is an ally, cheerleader, and an agent of white supremacy. It is a situation where all of these women are anti-black. They espouse anti-black misandry rhetoric, and they also echo anti-black woman misogyny. All right, they hate themselves. They have internalized self-hate, and they effectively aid white supremacy, white men. And most of these women only date white men, right? Most of these women, they don't like black men. They are not attracted to black men. They have no interest in dealing with black men. You understand? So that is how we're going to define. That is how we're going to define actual Negro bed wenches. If these women aren't doing these things, they're not a Negro bed wench. They're just a black woman that so happens to date a non-black or white man. So understand that. So women, I see a lot of brothers going in on Serena since she married a white man named Alex. Please, brothers, leave the sister alone. Let the sister be happy in her relationship. You understand? Just because she has a white husband doesn't mean that she's a Negro bed wench. If she wants to have a white husband, that is actually good for us, because now she's actually the responsibility of that white husband. You understand? She's under that white husband's responsibility at the end of the day. Not only that, but it's much better for women that have internalized self-hatred to date people that are not black, because then you don't have to worry about them passing on those anti-black ideologies to the children. You don't have to worry about them passing down anti-black male misandry to the children. And you don't have to worry about them passing down anti-black female misogyny to the children, right? What don't you agree with, Eric? Go ahead and type in the chat and let me know what you don't agree with, brother. And yes, black Negro bed wenches are definitely an asset to white supremacy. They are agent provocateurs. So women that are Negro bed wenches are actually agent provocateurs within the community. So it is actually best that we disassociate with Negro bed wenches completely, because they're pretty much in the black community just fuck shit up and make everything go bad, go sour in the community. And historically, these women have been women that have been spies for the slave masters. They have snitched on the revolutions when slaves came together to plot against the slave masters for liberation. These women were some of the main culprits that actually got the revolutions got the revolution ended before they started. Like if you research a lot of these slave revolts and during slavery times, particularly in America, you will see that a lot of these slave revolts were squashed before they even started, based on information that the Negro bed wenches got from the black community and passed on to the slave masters. That's why if you properly research the Haitian Revolution, one of the reasons it was so successful was because before they actually got their planning done and stuff like that, before they got their planning done, a lot of the Haitian revolutionaries, the first thing they did before attacking the white supremacists, well, they took out the Negro bed wenches and they took out the plantation bucks, which is, a plantation buck is pretty much a male Negro bed wench, or a coon, as you like to call them. And so the reason we have to call these women Negro bed wenches is, one, we have to identify them as what they are. Number two, is we have to have an appropriate derogatory term that has a demeaning definition to it that really scorns these people mentally as to what type of traitor they are to the black race at the end of the day, and to the black community, right? Because one thing that we noticed was a lot of black women that are traitors to the black community is that the term coon doesn't bother them as much as it bothers black men who are traitors to the black community. But that term Negro bed wench, oh yeah, it definitely gets these traitorous women heated and upset and in their feelings, etc., etc. So that's why this is an appropriate term used. So if you agree with that in the chat room, press 1 on your keyboard. If you agree with what I just said, press 1 on the keyboard. Best of Black YouTube, Mr. Research. What's going on, man? Today we are talking about the term Negro Bed Wench and why it's an appropriate, derogatory, and identifying term for black women who are allies, cheerleaders, and agents of white women or agents of white men and white supremacy. That's what we're talking about. And so we already defined the term. We gave a little bit of background information on the term, and we defined it for the people, and we kind of broke down where this term originates from in history and why it's an appropriate, derogatory, and identifying term for black women who are traitors to the black community, who engage in inappropriate behavior against the black community, right? So press 1 in the chat if you agree that Negro bed wenches are enemies and agent provocateurs to the black community. Best of Black YouTube asks, is it just one of the female appearance who she is with, or more so what you see her do? So it is the actual term, it is a combination of both, right? I'll say this, it's mainly about what she does to the black community, right? When a woman is allied and an agent of white supremacy, 9.9 times out of 10, she's going to be with a white mate. Other than that, it's going to be some type of non-black mate, like Asian, Hispanic, etc., etc. But the main thing about a Negro bed wench is that she's an ally and an agent of white supremacy. Just because a black woman has a non-black mate doesn't make her a Negro bed wench. And just because a black man has a non-black mate doesn't make him a Negro bed buck or a coon, right? We have to understand that. So I see a lot of people going in on Serena and Venus. Stop going in on Venus and Serena. We should be happy that these women have shown that they're with an actual non-black I agree with you, Best Black YouTube. It's about what she does to the community more so the actual type of mate that she has. So women like Venus and Serena and black women, you have a lot of black women and black men that have non-black mates that still donate and stuff like that to the black causes, like black universities. You have black men and women that, have non-black mates that fight for black people. Like, John Legend, I think his wife is some type of Asian nationality or something like that. Like she looks like Filipino or something like that. I'm not sure of her exact race, but at the end of the day, John Legend still champions black causes. He still donates to black causes, etc., etc. And we have to give those people support and props when they do that for the black community, because it's a lot of it's very dangerous to be someone with a major platform like a black entertainer or a black business person to do things for your community. If you look at the Black Panthers, as you've seen what happened with them, the FBI created a program called COINTELPRO, where they deliberately surveilled these people, they assassinated these people, they gave these people unjust and unfair prison sentences. I mean, there's Black Panthers that are just getting out of jail, within the last 5 or 6 years, and some of them are still in jail. You understand? So when we talk about black people that have the courage and the goals to stand for black people, when we talk about black people that have the courage and the goals to stand for black people, we have to support and stand with those people. Now, as far as Venus and Serena, I haven't heard anything about them doing anything for black causes, but they are good images for black women that want to participate in the sport of tennis. So we shouldn't. I do see a lot of black men that have said slick comments about Venus and Serena since they've coming out about being in a relationship with non-black men. And we need to stop this, people. Let these sisters date who they want to date. Nobody can be the vagina and penis police. We cannot police 45 plus million black people on who they date. And not only that, but black men actually date twice as many. They actually marry twice as many non-black women as black women marry non-black white men, right? I think it's about 400,000 black men in interracial marriages compared to about 170,000 black women in interracial marriages. You understand? And so when these people get into interracial marriages, just understand that we don't have to go in on these people. We don't have to talk negative about them and talk to them in derogatory terms. We just understand where they stand on the community. They don't get a seat at the planning table when it's talking about nation building, and we just leave that at that. You understand? We accept their donations and their support in other ways, but they cannot be at the planning table in terms of nation building and moving the black community forward. So again, I want to reiterate, black men, black women, stop calling black women and black men that have non-black mates Negro Bed Wenches and coons just for having non-black mates. You understand? Leave these people be. Now, when you see signs of black people that are allied with white supremacy, when you see signs of that, then that's when you want to go ahead and say, okay, that person is a Negro Bed Wench, that person is a bed buck / coon, and go ahead and ring that shit loud as possible so that every other black person that's trying to move the black community forward can know where they stand. We need to recognize all forms of inappropriate behavior against the black community, and we need to penalize these people for that. We need to distance ourselves as righteous black people from these type of people. Whenever someone does anything unrighteous in the black community, there needs to be penalties and consequences for these people. William Taylor says he agrees. What's going on, William? Thanks for joining us tonight, brother. Welcome to the chat, William. We got William Taylor in here. We got the best of black YouTube, Mr. Research. He says all men in every category except Chinese. The men in every group marry out more. Black isn't a special case. Yep, absolutely. You know your research, brother. That is a true statistic right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So these Negro bed wenches, man. A lot of time when you talk about black women, these Negro bed wenches get very upset. At the end of the day, we have to call out bullshit in our community. I don't care if it's a black man or a black woman. You have to call that shit out, put it on the front table, expose these people, and disassociate from these people. So shout out to my brother Tariq Nasheed. He followed the advice of the brother Dr. Claude Anderson in one of his books. I think it was either Powernomics or one of those books. One of the strategies that he outlined was to give people these Shepherd Awards. Like there's a black man that named Shepherd. I can't remember his full name, but he basically acted inappropriately against the black community. And his suggestion in that book was to have an award where you have an award and you give out these awards to these black people that act inappropriate toward the community, and you posted their faces on certain billboards and stuff around the city so that the whole black community would know and be cognizant of the fact that these people are coons and are acting inappropriately at the black community. And what my boy Tariq Nasheed did, the brother Tariq Nasheed, the big homie, he actually did a plantation, some type of plantation coon award that he did. He had a live audience and they filmed it and everything, and they gave out awards to the top coons within the black community so that everybody can see. And so that's one of the ways that we can actually counteract these type of behaviors within the black community. We ostracize these people and we disassociate from these people. We get them out of our community. You understand? And so I'm about to wrap this episode up. Pretty much, we've defined what it means to be a Negro bed wench. That's a black woman who's an allied cheerleader and agent of white men and white supremacy. And that's the only thing that makes a black woman a coon. If she's not going against the black community, then she's not a Negro bed wench or a coon. You understand? All these other black women that do stuff for the black community but happen to have non-black mates, leave them alone, brothers and sisters. Let them live their life in peace. At the end of the day, say the brother in the chat, William Taylor, said he'd also like to add that the interracial relationship problems that us blacks have between the sexes are unique to us alone. This is much incentive for us to be with each other and heal one another. I agree, brother, absolutely. We are in a very, I would probably say we're in the toughest spot in the planet right now. It's between the black community, the Native American community, and the Jewish community. Us three communities are in a very tough spot as far as relations in the world go, right? I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So in closing, yes, Negro bed wench is the perfect appropriate term, the perfect appropriate derogatory term to refer to a black woman who is against black people. You understand? And we need to identify those black women who are against black community. We already do that with the men by calling them coons. You understand? It's kind of similar. I would tell the black feminists that don't like it, it's more offensive for a black person to call another black person hotep than it is for a black person to call another black person Negro bed wench, if we're going to play the historical card, right? And so let's call out these Negro bed wenches. Let's expose them and let's ostracize and isolate them from our community so that they can no longer be agent provocateurs against the black community. With that, I want to thank everybody for joining the live stream. Shout out to the brother William Taylor. Shout out to the brother Eric Brewster. Shout out to Best of Black YouTube, Mr. Research, and a few other people. Thank y'all for coming out and having this discussion with me, and I hope y'all pay attention to some of these more videos. We're going to keep it going. Peace.